Good afternoon, I'm changing trains at Bromley South, waiting on platform 4 to go down on the Dover train. I'm going to a station that I've not been to in Kent before. A slightly unusual video, a bit of a chatty video, but as you'll have ascertained from the title, one pertinent question that needs to be answered and I'd like your feedback on, please. So cue 10-second travel montage until we get to our destination station. So I'm at Snowdown station on South Eastern, not Snowdon, definitely Snowdown. It's just two rather dull concrete platforms with these concrete walls, some metal steps down that take you up to street level where there's no pavement. It's one of those odd stations, no one else here. And at one point it was the least used station in Kent. I think a couple of years ago it had the least number of people. My plan was always to come on a day when it had been snowing, because it's got the word snow in its name, and that would have been hilarious to come on a snowy day to Snowdown. And then actually yesterday was the day in January when it did snow, and I woke up yesterday and there were snowflakes in the air, but I couldn't make it to Snowdown yesterday. But I have made it today to talk about my rail atlas, which you saw in the little travel montage there, and the fact that Snowdown is one of the stations which I have never got out at before. And that is the thing. I've got my list, got my list of things to talk about, and it's basically to ask one question which I would love you to answer and for you to give me your input and your thoughts on, and that is this, is that when I travelled the country to every station in the year of 2017, it was done by a method of not actually getting out at every station, but as long as the train called at or stopped at, with the request stop caveat at every station, then that counted. And basically, over Christmas, Happy New Year, and all that to you as well, I was chatting with a friend of mine in a pub, and we got into the conversation of, if you're one of these people, and there are many, like my friend Stuart, every station has done it, Jen on the move, she's trying to get around every station at the moment. There's many people, I think Nick's doing it, there's loads, there's many people, I might link to some below if I remember. It's a kind of a quest for many people to say that they've been to every station. But the question is if you're saying you've been to every station, what actually counts as visiting every station? And it's not as simple as you might think, and that is what I'm here to discuss. For example, I was with my friend Jono the other day and we were riding the North Downs line, and he just does a thing where he colours in his map of where he's been. So if he rides a section of line, you know, from A through B through C, from A, I might not even edit it out, from A through B through C to D, he just colours in all of A to D and he goes, right, I've ridden that line. Even if he hasn't got out of the stations, he's like a colouring line basher, and he says he's coloured that line. When I rode around every station in 2017, the rule that was applied then is that the train had to stop at every station. So if you're going from A to D, you couldn't get the fast train, you had to get the stopping train that went A to B to C to D. But the thing is, I might have got on at A and got out at D, but I never got off at B or C. So what I'm currently now doing, sort of casually in my spare time, is saying to myself, well, it only counts, can I say I've been to every station if I've actually got out at station B as well and out at station C, and that is what I'm doing. And so today, previously, I'd stopped at but not got out at Snowdown. So today I can actually tick off Snowdown as a station that I've got out of. But it gets a little bit more complicated than that, because some people, for example, might say, well, it counts, for example, if you step onto the platform and then hop back on the train. Some people then say, no, you have to leave the gate line. In my rules, I can get out here, I could not leave the station, get on to another train, a different train, and that counts. But some people say, no, you must leave the gate line. And some people even say, no, you need to like go somewhere local, like go to a shop or spend some money or see what's in, you know, the local area of that station. Here at Snowdown, there's not a lot, you know, and some people say, no, you must get a picture of every station building. So yeah, is actually just getting off onto the platform, is that enough? Or do you need to leave the station in some capacity, and that is then what counts as doing that station? Interestingly, I've had this happen to me at Maiden Newton, and also I think at Llandudno on the Heart of Wales line. You do get cases where a train especially at Llandudno, because there's a Tesco across the road, the train will arrive in at the station, and then it's got like a 13-minute wait. And in that 13 minutes, you've definitely got time to run across the road, go into the big Tesco Express that's there, buy yourself a sandwich and a drink, and then get back on the same train. In my mind, that doesn't count. Even though you've left the station and you've gone and like spent some money in the local economy and then got back on the train, because it's the same train, doesn't count. You need to get a different train. Now, you can step it up a bit more by saying, well, fine, whether you just want to step onto the platform or leave the station or get a different service. If you've only arrived at a station, does that only count once? Can you truly say you've only been to every station if you've then got on a train as well? So I'm here at Snowdown. Now, what if I walked half an hour up the road to, is it Aylsham, whatever? I've got off at Snowdown, but I'd then say got on at Aylsham. Are there some people that say you've only truly done a station if you've both got off at and on at that station? That makes your job twice as hard, right? Because you have to get off at and arrive at a station at every on a train at every station. That makes it twice as hard. Now, and just when you think that is all that is possibly possible, I can double it again by saying both directions variant. As you can see here, there's 2 tracks here at Snowdown. You could make your job 4 times as hard if you say, well, you've got to do it in both directions. Obviously, if it's a single track line, you've only got to do it twice, but technically you could say, no, 4 times here. You could come to this station 4 times. You could get off at Snowdown on the southbound towards Dover platform. You can get on a train on the southbound at Snowdown, and then you've got to flip over to the northbound. Could you say you've got to get off at and on at a train at Snowdown? And here you've therefore got to do 4 trains. You've got to do 4 different things to say that you've ticked off here this station at Snowdown. So basically, I would like to know what you think. I mean, and then if you want to make it really, really complicated, that is just for a 2-track, 2-platform station. Take any station. Let's go for an extreme example. Let's take Clapham Junction with its, 18, 17, 18, 19 platforms. Can you truly say you've done Clapham Junction unless you've arrived at and departed from a train on every platform, or just going to Clapham once on any train count? So there we go. Colouring in the line, not stopping, just whizzing through. Colouring in the line, ticking off the station by stopping at the station but not necessarily getting out. Stepping onto the platform, then back onto the same train, getting out at and then just being on the platform and getting a different train, getting off the train, then leaving the station, maybe taking a picture, definitely leaving the gate line and then coming back in. And then, do you have to leave on a separate train? Yes, you do. But do you have to do both platforms, both sides for 2-track stations, or do you have to get on, off and on at, which would be 4 times for 2-track stations, more for stations which have more platforms? I think I've covered every variant. I'm just going to check my list, because we sat having a drink the other day discussing all the possible options. Let me check. Okay, just one small caveat to mention, and that is in 2017, when we visited every station, back then we had the rule with request stops, stations which are request stops, and actually I think there's less request stops nowadays, is that the rule back then was that, as we decided, is that as long as we were on the train, which was scheduled in the timetable with a little X symbol, to stop at that station if somebody requested it, that was okay whether it stopped or not. If you were being super uber strict on yourself, you would obviously say that you do have to get out at every station, which means requesting every request stop station. And if I make it twice as hard, then you have to get on at every station as well. So that's it. I just wanted to put that all out there because I had this super interesting conversation with my friend over Christmas, like I say, as to what actually defined traveling to every station. And I thought it would be interesting to put this out there and get your thoughts and views and comments soon. That is it. I am back on the rails, back on the tracks, literally, next week with a mini documentary and then a Lease You Station video, yes, and then a Tube Station video, yes, all coming. Normal videos return next week as we kick off January and head into the new year. Happy New Year for 2026 and all that. That's it. Leave your comments below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.